So, our legal topic today, I wanted to talk about financial literacy. So, April is Financial Literacy Month. I know last week it was Volunteer Awareness Month. And then this week it is Financial Literacy Month. And the reason why I want to talk about financial literacy is because it ties so well into what I do as an estate planner. And especially because I know people's finances are completely on their mind because it is April and it means that it's tax season. And I know that the IRS pushed back our tax deadline to May 17th. So what you get like a month and 2 days. But most people are already in the process of collecting all their data for their CPAs and trying to get their tax returns in. So what better time to talk about financial literacy than now? So, what is Financial Literacy Month supposed to be geared towards? It is geared towards teaching our children about financial literacy. One of the biggest complaints I get from people is that kids nowadays don't know how to manage their finances. They don't know how to balance a checkbook. They don't know about student loans. And if you guys have been following right now in terms of Congress, you know that there's a big push right now to help with student loan debt, and that the cumulative student loan debt held by students in the United States is I think it's $1.9 trillion. That is a lot of outstanding debt that is out there. That is a lot of people who owe the government money for having gone to school. And a lot of that debt was incurred because kids did not know what they were getting into. And so there's a big push to start educating kids, starting as young as elementary school, to know how to manage their finances so that we are able to get, by the time they get to be college, to be applying for school and college and then out there into the world, they know how to manage their finances better. So there's a website that is called jumpstart.com. And if you hop onto jumpstart.com, you will, there's a lot of materials on there about the different areas that we should be approaching. If you're an educator, there is education resources. But as a parent, you can hop on there and find resources on how to educate your kids. A lot of us grew up and were not taught how to do the most basic things with regard to our finances. I didn't learn how to balance a checkbook until I was an adult and actually had an account and had a checkbook, even if my mom had, little accounts for us when we were growing up. And there's a lot of parents I know who are starting to open accounts for their kids. But beyond opening an account for your kid, you've got to show your kid how to, and yes, we don't use checks anymore. And so balancing a checkbook seems like, very ancient, right? But you still need to teach your kids how to manage their debit cards. It's like debit cards have now replaced, your checks. So you need to teach your kids how to manage their debit cards, how to be able to look at a bank statement and discern what's on there, what's coming in and what's going out, and you have to teach your kids how to lean into saving, because very often, and teaching your kids also how to earn, the money that they're saving. It's easy to give an allowance, but for a lot of families, you need to, when kids are too young and they can't go get jobs, you want to start teaching them how to earn that money and then teaching them how to save that money. You want to talk to your children very early about investing. You want to teach them about how to make their income grow. You want to teach your children about how to start saving for retirement, because those are the skills that if we don't learn them young enough, by the time you're 50 years old and you're at that point where you're like, okay, I should start thinking about retirement, you're way behind the eight ball because you haven't done the things that you needed to do to save. You want to teach your children about mortgages and about amortization. I did not know what the term amortization meant until I was graduating law school because I went to undergrad without student loans. So I didn't have to worry about it. I didn't have to learn what that was because I was not incurring debt. And then, of course, I went to law school and incurred a mortgage size amount of debt. And then the bank sent me a letter and they were like, oh, here's your amortization schedule. I'm like, wait, what the hell is amortization? And what does this schedule mean? and I had to go learn that. And um, it's embarrassing to say that I was what 28 years old when I learned what that was, and I had already incurred the debt that was being controlled by the schedule that was going to tell me how to pay off the debt. That should have been something that I knew before I incurred the debt, right? So that is that I think is the importance of financial literacy month is teaching your children those things and being very open about speaking about finances with your children. You know, it's like if we don't show our kids how, like, remove the curtain and show them what's behind the curtain with regard to finances, and show them, like, okay, here's what's coming in every month, here's our bills, and here's how much we pay, here's how much we save in our retirement accounts, here's how much we save in our in your college savings plans. How exactly are we supposed how do we expect our children then to go out into the world and to be able to manage their finances well? How are we supposed to send them into the world and expect them to not leverage themselves with too much debt or get into credit card into just insurmountable credit card debt, which will then damage their credit? If we don't talk to our children about how to grow credit in America responsibly, how exactly do we expect that they will be able to go out there and do those milestone things? Because we know as adults that based on your debt, your ability to get loans, ability to get a mortgage, ability to buy a house is affected by that. And so we want to make sure that we are equipping our kids with this information and sending them prepared into the world for for financial success. It's like we all have the goal of raising um, independent children who are productive members of society. And part of that is making sure that they are very well equipped and educated with in financial literacy. I know that some high schools are actually beginning to offer math classes specifically geared towards that. And my son took it in high school. I thought it was fantastic that as a senior, he was learning about mortgages and real world math, because you'll hear kids say, like, why the hell do I have to do math? Like, it's never going to be applicable to my life. But taking things like mortgages and teaching kids how interest works on a loan, that's helpful so that they can make plans when they're deciding what college they can go to, whether they can actually afford the payments when they come out. So those are all the things I think that we should be talking to our children about during Financial Literacy Month. And honestly, you guys, it's not just for children. As adults, we need to learn more about financial literacy. We need to make sure that we are doing the right things with regard to our finances. We need to make sure that when we're 72 and a half years old and ready to retire, that we have money saved up enough to get us through to, the golden ages, that we have done the things that we need to do with regard to financial advising and estate planning. Now we've done all those, like, those things, and all of that works towards creating a comprehensive financial, like, outlook for your life. So hopefully you guys found this helpful. If there's any parents on there, you're going to go on to jumpstart.com and get some resources. Sit down, talk to your children about budgeting, financial advising, teach them about savings, teach them about student loans. I know a lot of people right now, their kids have applied to college and because I've been seeing the posts online. My kids got accepted into this school. They're going here. Make sure you're teaching your children about student loans so that they're not joining they're not adding to the $1.6 trillion of debt. So this is our presentation for today. Let's make sure that we're pushing out into the world better educated, financially literate children. You have a wonderful Friday, a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you next week for another episode of Ram Shop Talks. Bye.